Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well this morning. I'm Laura. I'm co-founder of Pitch One to One. We are a profile-based marketing and we help our clients with LinkedIn. I'm here this morning with my co-founder, Fergus Parker. Hi, Fergus.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're well. Very excited to be on the call today. So we're just going to introduce ourselves over the next minute or so, just while people are logging in. And then we've got an exciting 25 minutes, half an hour, jam-packed, full of all of the learnings that Laura and I have made over the last 10 years. So this webinar really is for those of you who have been in the situation where your sales and marketing efforts are no longer effective. It's also for those of you who have profile views on your LinkedIn account, but aren't converting those to connections or conversations. And it's also for those of you who haven't yet got a consistent method for bringing in a regular flow of leads and a regular flow of new business. So if any of those sound familiar, then this should be a really good 25 minutes. Just to give you a bit of a background of me, today is Halloween, and it reminds me of kind of the nightmare that I had 7-8 years ago. So my background is in kind of running a full service content marketing business. I did that for 3-4 years, heading up 200 odd staff and a sales team of over 40. And one of the reasons why we set up Pitch One to One is that the hardest thing that I had to do 6-7 years ago was to reduce the size of that sales team from 40 down to 4 because our sales efforts, which back then were cold calling, just became completely ineffective. So targets of booking 5 meetings a day became 5 meetings a week, and then became 3 and 2 meetings a week. So my wish and my hope for you all is that you never get into that situation yourselves, and that you are always ahead of the curve, using the right channels, the right messaging, the right content to attract your dream client to you, and that your sales and marketing nightmares will be no longer. So Laura's going to sort of introduce how we're going to run the session. I think we've got a fair amount of people on the call now. So Laura, back to you.
Thank you. So part one, Fergus has got some examples of peers in our industry and people who are doing their LinkedIn profile particularly well. So he's got some hints and tips on making you look great on LinkedIn. And then part two, I'm going to be talking about how to actually attract people onto your LinkedIn profile, how to increase your company page followers and therefore increase website visitors of people who are actually interested in your product, your service, and your company. Now, we've got the chat open, so if you've got any questions, while Fergus is doing part one, I will answer any questions as we go, and vice versa. If there's any that we think require a bigger explanation, then we can go through that at the end. So over to Fergus for part one.
Great, thanks, Laura. So you should be able to see my screen now. So what we're going to do is just a step-by-step as to the things that you need to look at to really attract your dream clients to your LinkedIn profile and get them having conversations with you. So we're going to break that down from top to bottom. Some you may already know, but there'll be other new features that you won't. So yeah, I'll be covering this for the next 10 minutes. So look, the main aim of your LinkedIn profile really is to make sure that you're saying something meaningful to your dream customers. So gone are the days where you just want leads for leads' sake. Where LinkedIn wins is that it enables you to really speak to that one person in a meaningful way rather than shout to 1,000. I think Seth Godin kind of said it the best, is that you don't want to market to everyone, because effectively you're marketing to no one. So the first thing that we look at it's just making sure that you've kind of got the basics in place. So we look at the vanity URL, which you can just see up here. And that really is just your first name and your surname. So if you haven't got that set up already, please go into the Me section and edit your profile and your URL. If your name is more more common than Fergus, then you might need to put a middle initial in. That might do it. So yeah, or 2 initials, depending on what you need to do. So there are a couple of really interesting features here that are just worth noting before we go down the rest of your LinkedIn profile. So here you've got the editing your custom URL. That's pretty straightforward. LinkedIn won't allow you to use a URL that's already in use, so just test around with that. What LinkedIn does do, if you can look on the right-hand side, is it tends to default your profile's public visibility just to your first-degree connections. So if there's one thing that you want to do today, is just make sure that your profile photo is public and that everyone can see it, because we don't want to go to all of this effort and for no one to see your profile. Also, I would thoroughly recommend having all of your toggles on so that everything is shown. Some of our clients don't like everything to be shown to the whole world, but our default is complete transparency, so to have all of that on. And then finally, a new feature that LinkedIn have created is the public profile badge. So this is pretty neat, very simple to do, and they've got the sort of the steps to do it. But really what it does is it enables you to embed your profile onto website, onto emails, so that people can see who you are and what you're all about. So just have a think about where you can put that and obviously drive traffic back to your LinkedIn profile. Okay, so one of the first things that you want to do is really look at the influencers in your industry. Really for inspiration and also to see what is working well for them, and to then make that your own. So my first example is to show you Melanie. All of these examples will be LinkedIn influencers and experts, so you can see the best of the best as to how they do it. So the first thing that we look at is the profile photo. It sounds obvious, or at least I think it sounds obvious. But you have to have a professional one in there. So I've got some examples just so you can see of sort of the don'ts. But please don't use photos that you have from a wedding or blurry photos. We've got examples of proportions are being squeezed into the LinkedIn square. Holiday photos, unprofessional ones, and logos of your business. So the most important thing, and actually, there's only one chance to create a first impression. Everyone knows that. Actually, online, the latest stats are saying it's 7 seconds to create that first impression. People, as we all know, buy into people. So if they're not seeing a smiling photo of you on LinkedIn, then you really are missing out on a lot of interest and a lot of leads. So for the sake of, £50, give or take, I would invest in getting a professional photo done, head and shoulders, looking at the camera and, and smiling, warm and friendly. So that would be a basic one, but you'd be surprised how many people don't do it. LinkedIn stats this year are saying people actually with a profile photo are 21 times more likely to be viewed and 9 times more likely to get connections. So make it a good one. Okay, next we're looking at the background photo. So still I see profiles where the background isn't filled in. I would see this similar to your website above the fold. It's a huge sort of advertising asset, so make the most of it. What we recommend to our clients is to really have photos showing you either at work in action, so that could be speaking, it could be in a workshop, or winning awards. So obviously Vivica Viv, she has her awards here and various different things that she's won. But that is a huge opportunity for people to really see themselves in you, or to gain credibility with your audience that you have won awards or you've published books and so on. So absolutely, you should use that. The other thing to note, for those of you who have nicknames that are used in business, so I have nicknames, but they're not used in business, but you should certainly put the abbreviations in there. So if your name is Daniel, but everyone in your work knows you as Dan, you really do need to put that in there, so that when people are searching for you, they can find Dan as well as Daniel. Next, we're on to the headline. There's a lot that is said about your sort of LinkedIn headline, and this one is a rather long one. So in general, you have 120 characters, which is probably about 2/3 of what you're seeing from Viv here. If you want more space, a pro tip is to go onto your LinkedIn mobile app, and you get almost 1/3 more characters to put all of your experience in there. So what we want to make sure that we're doing from this point onwards is ensuring that your LinkedIn profile is not a CV. It's not attracting recruiters, but it's attracting your dream customers. So again, they need to see keywords in here that are their challenges, are things that they want, are things that they're interested in. So really have a think about your the top 10 clients that you have. What are their main pain points? What are the things that they're talking about? Where do they want to be as a business in a few years' time in terms of how you can help them? And then start having a look at what kind of keywords you would need to put in to show that credibility and also to resonate with them. A great new feature, it's not yet out on most UK profiles, Viv is based in the US, is this section here, which is absolutely brilliant for attracting people who are looking for, in this case, executive coaching or public speaking. But you get an opportunity here to put your actual services in. So please keep checking your LinkedIn profile, and as soon as this is rolled out to you, fill it in straight away, because at the end of the day, LinkedIn is a search engine similar to Google. And if you think about it as it's a search engine like Google, but probably 10 years behind, which means you just need to use simpler, shorter key phrases. Okay, so I'm going to move on to Dean. Dean's another LinkedIn influencer we know well. He just used a very interesting profile photo, a little bit different, certainly sticks out and memorable. So you may want to consider sort of going above and beyond just the head and shoulders to differentiate yourself and stand out. What I'm going to show you with Steve is the About section. Now, most people make the mistake, again, to either talk in the third person, which you really don't want to do. This is your opportunity to speak as if you were speaking to someone one-on-one yourself. It's also your opportunity to interlace 3 stories. So we believe that people need to buy into 2 of the following 3 things in order for them to trust you. So we've got your personal story, which is your why you've set up the business. We've got your company story, which is why the company is set up and the problems it solves, and then your product story. Generally, to win new business, you will need to have at least 2 of those 3 things nailed down so that people feel that they trust you. The other thing that Steve done, which is very nice, is he's got emoticons in there. So if you go to emojipedia.org, there is a plethora of emoticons for you to choose from. Some of you may not like them. All I would say is on LinkedIn, it works. So even if you have an aversion to emojis, think about using it, because you don't get the opportunity to differentiate your text that well on LinkedIn other than emoticons. You can also use software that puts it in bold and italicizes it. So that's a personal preference for you. But ultimately, you want to get those 3 stories across. your story, why you set the business up and why you've got to this point, product and company, and then have a call to action at the end. Finally, you want to have rich media in here as well, and that just sort of demonstrates your credibility. So moving on, we're going to have a look at Dan Disney. So I'm not going to focus on content. Laura's going to talk about that. But one thing Dan does particularly well, and this is in the articles section. So if you go back to your normal profile, you have your article section here. If people want to learn more about you and they're like, okay, this is interesting, you've made it past the 7-second test, they've started scrolling down, you want to make sure that you've got some regular articles appearing in. So Dan does this particularly well. I would recommend having a look at how he does it. And there's a whole load of things that you can do with articles to make sure people are converting. But one of the things he's the best at is actually the end tagline here, just sort of selling his book, talking about himself. And this guy has huge engagement as well. So he's worth following if you're interested in sort of social selling hints and tips. Okay, good. So now that we've kind of briefly touched on the articles and activity, we want to look at the experience. Please make sure that this has at least 1 or 2 lines in. The experience, again, needs to be focused on your dream customer rather than yourself, and make sure that there is a narrative that sort of strings through. Please don't include job roles that are not relevant to your dream customers now. So I don't know, being a lifeguard 15 years ago would not be relevant if you're a software CEO right now. So please make a decision on which things you want to include and which ones you don't. And then the final few sections, we're looking at skills and endorsements. I would thoroughly recommend that you are proactive with this. One of the best ways we find to do this for our clients is to get them to write an in-depth article, to then direct message their first degree connections, saying, please take a look at the article. And then if you feel that I've got expertise in any of these 3 areas, would be great to get your endorsement. You can also endorse people beforehand to encourage sort of goodwill. But this really is very important section to fill out. And you also need to make sure that you're editing it so that you have your top 3 here based on what your dream customers are wanting right now, and not just whatever people have voted for the most. Really important to make sure those top 3 are right. And really where you will win the most is recommendations. And this is probably the area that gets the least attention. We recommend at least 1 recommendation every 3 months. It shows that you're doing a good job. It shows that people are happy with what you're doing. Again, you need to be proactive. You can go into your personal profile here, and in the recommendation section, you can simply ask for recommendations. To an extent, you need to give first to receive. So you will need to invest some time in getting that done. But you will lose people if your last recommendation was from 2011 when you were last looking for a job. So please make sure that that is regularly populated. Accomplishments and skills, fairly self-explanatory, but anything that is relevant, again, to your dream customers, please put in there. And then interests. I'm just whizzing through this now, just aware of time. Key thing here, and I've said it all the way through, is make sure, please, that you are following influencers, companies, groups and schools that your fans are on, your future advocates, your future clients, rather than companies and influencers that you personally are interested in. So that would be an important differentiation so that you can start having conversations in those groups that your prospects are on. And that, really is it in terms of kind of the broad basics of what you want to be covering with your LinkedIn profile, how you want to be doing it. And what I will do is I'll pass over to Laura now just to go through part 2, which is the content side and how you can leverage your content to get conversations going and then get those meetings in the diary.
Thanks, Fergus. Great. I'm just going to share my screen. So in the, first of all, if you can just let me know if you're able to see my screen there. Yep, brilliant. Okay. So you've optimized your LinkedIn profile, and now it's a case of attracting people to it so they get to see the work that you've done. So if you go on to who has viewed my profile, if you've got a premium or a sales navigator account, you get to see a lot more here. So this is where you get to see who has visited your profile, and you really want to have this as a mixture of people that you're already connected to. You want them to be revisiting your profile, and people who are not yet in your first degree connections network. So it's about attracting people from outside of your network. Now, with some people on here, you can see how they found you. If you see that they found you via search, then you know that you're coming up with search. Fergus touched on making sure that your skills and endorsements are correct. But it really is worth thinking about when you're rewriting your headline, your about section, your experience, that you consider the keywords that you want to be found for. So say if you offer content writing services, if you went onto Google, you might write content writing services. If you go onto LinkedIn, you might write content writer. So do make sure that those words content writer are coming up on your profile. Of course, people can put a search in for your name. If they go through to the full search page and then come on, then you'll be found through search there as well. There are two other main areas that you want to be looking out for here. If you're sending some direct messages to people, and they might, they get a message from you, come to the webinar perhaps, and they then say, oh, let me just remind myself what this person is doing nowadays, or who this person is. They will be visiting you via messaging. So if you're doing quite a lot of messaging, you're going to see that quite a lot. Now that can be limited because you can't just message, to keep these profile views coming. So the one that we're really focusing on at the moment is people that find you via your homepage. Now, if they find you via the homepage, this means that if they're not already connected to you, it means that they found you either because you've done a post and somebody that they're connected to has either liked or commented on that, and therefore it's ended up in their feed, or else you have included a hashtag that they are following. So if you can see that we've got some people this is where they found you via the LinkedIn profile, others find you through the homepage, others via other. It's always good if you're going to message and connect people to know why they were looking at your profile. So because we've been focusing on posts quite a lot recently, I thought that we could share some of the things that we've learned. So typically, and this is quite common, we were doing the same as a lot of other people. We were creating a post that was based around something that's happened, something topical. So I might be linking out to a website. It could be BBC News. It's more likely with me to be the Social Media Examiner or something along those lines. What I discovered, so I made this post a couple of months ago, and I took a topic that had a slightly wider appeal about parental leave, and this made me realize that actually the topic needs to be really interesting to people immediately, because I was getting a low number of views, I would say a few hundred views per post. And this one, because I got 19 likes quite early on from this post, then I got over 1,000 views. So it was the same sort of style, but it tells me that getting likes early on when you've posted helps more people to see that post in their feed. And that is LinkedIn's algorithm. It's seeing that people are interested in what you're posting, and they're keeping it higher in people's feeds so that more people see it. Now, I know what I'm seeing at the top of my feed, and that's those philosophical pieces where somebody's got a thought of the day and they're trying to engage people to say, what do you think about this particular topic? So I thought I would try some of those. The first one that I tried actually flopped. I really put myself out there. I was showed some vulnerability and nobody saw it. And I remember speaking to Fergus and saying, it's not working for me. And he reminded me that you have to do these things again. So that's exactly what I did. And this time I talked about meeting a competitor. So I had met a competitor the night before, so it was really authentic, it's from the heart. And I wrote about it, about what a great experience it was to share secrets with your competitor. I got 20 likes, and this time I wasn't linking out to another website. So LinkedIn wants to keep you and all of the platform users on their platform. So if you are going to be sharing something, if it's possible to share it as a LinkedIn post, or perhaps your company page reposted rather than linking out, we find that that is definitely more effective. And then adding in hashtags. Don't be afraid to use really, really popular hashtags. You can trend for marketing which has many millions of followers, and you don't have to have had 100 likes, 100 comments to trend for these hashtags. It seems that the people who are engaging, if they're following those hashtags, then you're more likely to trend for that. We typically increase the views of a feed. We double it when we trend. And then I tried another one. So this was asking people for recommendations on books that they've read, business books. And this time it was much more of a, you tell me about you. And that seems to work really well with these posts because people actually make comments. Now, I did end up trending for this particular post, and that was with only eight likes and 8 comments. And the secret here was people were replying to the comments. That is why LinkedIn liked it. And then so I started replying to those replies, and you've created a conversation, and that's absolutely what LinkedIn is looking at, and that's why this one got so many views. So according to LinkedIn, video received 5 times the amounts of engagement. So I thought I would give the video a go. We actually found it to be about the same in terms of numbers of views. It definitely works. Now you have to have viewed a video for 3 seconds for it to count as a view. So there is perhaps a theory that a video view is worth more than a post view. So we're pretty pleased to get 2,000 views on a video. So all of this is then pulling people back into your LinkedIn profile. And you can see from the stats here that I've been predictably posting more frequently, and it correlates with the number of profile views that you get. Just aware of time, so I'm going to move quickly on to the company page. Now, company page is almost like your website on LinkedIn. So it's important because you can link people through to the website. And if somebody has visited your website from your company page, they've probably got slightly more of an interest in what you have to offer than somebody that clicks onto a blog that they've seen shared on social media. So these website visitors that you get from your company page are really quite valuable. So we are working to organically grow our company followers every single month, and we're typically getting 40, 50 new followers a month. Now, how are we doing that? There are 3 things that you can do to increase your company page followers. The first thing that we did was really much more effective than we ever considered it would be. And we direct message people and ask them to follow our company page. I sort of hesitate to say that because obviously if lots of people do that, then you might not get as much of a conversion rate, but about a quarter of the people that we asked actually followed the company page. And so we had a big spike of 400 followers. The second thing that we do is we make sure that the page is regularly updating with content, and we typically update it once or twice a day. And then I and Fergus, we have quite a large personal network, much bigger than our company page network. So it's really important that Fergus and I take the post from the company page, copy the URL, go onto our personal profiles, write our own personal opinion on this, and then share that post. And when that comes up in the feed, people who are not already following the page can click follow. We are predictably getting, a new follower a day from that activity. And then the final point is on the community hashtags. If you haven't done this already, you can have up to 3 hashtags. And typically people are putting the hashtags that relate to them, their company, their service, or their industry. You need to think about the hashtags that your target audience will be putting in their posts. And then if you click on that, you can then like and comment as your company page. So as you can see, that's coming up then as your brand. When you make a comment as the company, consider the fact that you need to change the tone because you're writing as the company, and that will attract more people to view your company page. And of course, when you've got great content on your company page, you're more likely to get those follows. So we're getting about 1/4 of the people that visit the company page are actually following, but we've seen that to be a lot lower if people aren't updating their company page. So that's attracting people to your profile, that's getting people to the company page. I really hope that that has helped. We actually have a couple of offers for anybody who's still with us, and if you are, thank you so much for that. First of all, we have created a workbook, and the workbook goes through your personal LinkedIn profile, some do's and don'ts, and you're able to then rethink your profile with that in mind, and it will help you to do that profile rewrite. That's something, it's PDF, you can download, you can print it, you can share with the team, and they can all optimize their profiles as well. And our second offer, we are offering to rewrite your profile for you. So if you were working with us as a client, this is typically part of our setup process, and we would charge £250 for this. What we do is we audit your existing personal profile. We would then have a video call or a telephone call and a half-an-hour interview to understand more about your story, your target audience, the hooks that they really that really compel them to want to work with you. And then we will actually rewrite your headline, your about section, and your experience. Now, for anybody who has signed up to the webinar, we're happy to do this at a bargain price of £97. So if you'd like us to do the full rewrite, then just send either Fergus or I a message and we will do that for you. Otherwise, drop us a note and we're going to send you our free profile optimization workbook. And if you want us to check in and have a look, just feel free to do that. So that's our offer. I hope that some of you would find that useful. Fergus, are you still with me?
And that's it. Yeah, I am. Yeah. So yeah, I hope all of that was useful, guys. It was a bit of a whistle-stop tour today. Covered quite a lot. There is more to cover, and maybe next time we'll kind of extend it to 45 minutes or an hour. But as Laura says, reach out to us on LinkedIn or email if you've got any more questions or want to go into any more depth. But other than that, hope you all have a happy Halloween. Yeah, hopefully catch up with you soon.
Great. Thanks ever so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.